Welcome to Tony McGee's Pro Football. Should I say sports or should I say Pro Football Plus? We do a lot of sports, but at the same time, one thing we got to talk about, and I know these guys don't want to hear it, but the Washington Redskins, they may not be winning, but they're playing better. So right this, I'm going to be an advocate of the court for them this week. I'm calling for the coach to be back. I know I'm getting a lot of shots there, so let's come back and scream about this in 30 seconds. We'll be back in a moment.
Geico makes it easy to get help when I need it. With licensed agents available 24/7, it's not just easy. It's having Jerome Bettis on your flag football team easy. Go get him, Bus!
Ooh. Come on, Bus. Come on. Hey, wait. I'm glad I got the flag. I got your flag. I'm glad I got your flag.
It's Geico Easy. Yeah. With licensed agents available 24/7.
49-0!
He's, first of all, the young receivers. I mean, we got a young nucleus of guys, playmakers, quarterback included, and they're putting a lot on our plate to try to make plays for this team. We got a lot of guys who are hungry for their opportunity, and I feel like we're building on that. Guys are making plays when they're being asked to make plays, and we just got to continue to improve each and every week and try to be big playmakers for this offense. And with Dwayne, he's just progressing as you would like. I don't think he didn't throw any interceptions today. I mean, obviously we had to turn over in the last play, but he's commanding the huddle well. He's making big plays. He's eluding in the pocket if he has to, and he's controlling what he can control, and that's the biggest thing I'm happy about with him. He's getting better each and every week, and if he can continue to do that, then the future can be bright for him.
Could you talk a little bit about your play? Because I know in the last 3 or 4 games, people have been double teaming you, and just your touchdown today, 75 yards?
That was great. We drew it up earlier this week. I was kind of surprised I didn't get double teamed as much. I got a little bit of cloud, but it's kind of tough to double out the slot. So Coach O'Connor did a good job of putting me in the slot, putting me get a free access release, and Dwayne did a good job of putting the ball in front of me. I just wanted to break a tackle and keep going. But my favorite part of that was handing the ball to a young guy out there who had beat cancer. And, I didn't get to meet him before the game, but I think I saw his sign on my phone, and I was like, man, if I score in that end zone, I'm going to give him the ball. And it's bigger than football. God bless him, and I hope that made his day. So win, lose, or draw, that's the happiest I am about that.
Hey, Stephen, you said that a while back that if you got the chance to touch the ball, you were going to make things happen. Just talk about, from progressing from kickoff returns to now in the starting lineup.
It's just been work. It's been an uphill battle, working every day, just learning the offense, learning how to be a pro. And I've just watched older guys and Terry, because Terry, he kind of was starting for week 1. So it's just like see how he handles things and how he's been going about it and going from there. Speaking
of Terry and just some of the younger receivers that are emerging, you yourself, Harmon and Terry, what has made that bond and what we're seeing on the field special?
I've just us, our how we are off the field with each other, just on the sidelines talking, our communication. We just got a good bond, and we feed off each other. Terry had a big play. I was like, hey, it's time to go, Kelvin. I went straight to Kelvin. Like, it's our turn now. He made a big play, so we got to make a play. So that's just kind of how it is.
What have you seen in Dwayne when you look at him? And I talked about the receivers, but quarterback-wise, what have you seen in him the last 3 or 4 weeks?
I see a fierce leader, a fierce competitor, somebody who definitely wants to win, who wants to lead, and it's coming. We just got to keep working week by week. We get better each week. We're growing up each week, so it's fun to see us grow.
Now, when you look at your play as far as some of the younger guys, you and Terry on the offensive side, and Harmon and Steven Sims, talk about just you all and the part about you stepping up right now.
Just as a rookie, we're young. We just got in the league, so it's a lot of hunger in there. So we just coming out here just trying to prove out what we worth for in the NFL. And every day, as a rookie, we always like I said last week, we always know we are the foundations now. We are the ones who can get this team going because we're the ones who young and full of energy. So we just got to put everything in perspective and take one day at a time.
How hard was it at the end of the game for you not to be in there?
It's very hard when we look at it. I was on the sideline the whole time, wishing I was in there, but it was for the greater good of me and my ability to go out there and help the team.
Fans, listen up. You got a quarterback with a 121.3 rating. You got wide receivers going over 100 yards. You got a running back, 16 for 66. And you got an offensive line that did not allow a sack. It's something for us to have some fun about. G, Mike, Donna, is this a better team right now than they were 5 weeks ago? I'm telling you, I'm jockeying right now. I think that coach is doing a great job. He's making it respectable. The offense is coming around. This team is starting to look pretty good.
Well, Tony, yes, they are improving. But you know what? What Coach Callahan said is that with all that happened in that game, the bottom line is they didn't do enough to win. And when you look at this league, W's is what count. Yes, Haskin probably played his best game so far. And then you look at the offensive line, like you said, they didn't give up sacks, and they didn't commit a lot of penalties and everything. By far, this was their best game of the season. But they've got to still get better. I love what the receivers doing. I love what Sims and Harmon and Terry, and then AP, he breaks the all-time record, Tony, in the NFL for rushing with over 1,400 yards right now. And so they did do a great job. And Callahan, I know that you said that possibly they should look at bringing him back, retaining him as the head coach. But I think that they've got to look at all avenues as far as, is he the best fit for this team right now in moving forward? Yes, he's done some great things in changing the culture around here with the Redskins, but it's so much more still need to be done for this team to be good.
You just couldn't say it. You wouldn't let yourself say it that the man is doing a pretty good job.
Pretty
in my
good is not
neighborhood, they
good
call
enough.
people like you player haters. Look at this. 8 weeks ago, we had one win and a bunch of whoopings. Now we don't have as many. We got a couple more wins, and we're being respectable.
But
the
Tony,
wide receivers is coming around.
But Tony, you said pretty good. Pretty good is not good enough.
Well, Tony, the receivers have always been there, quite honestly. It's just a
Oh,
matter
no, wait, G.
What? The receiver, I'm still trying to figure out how Terry's not our player of the week. I'm still trying to figure out.
Mike
Trying
is
to figure it
doing
out
the
last
picture,
week,
right?
and I'm trying to figure it out this week.
I agree
think
with you,
Mike
Mike,
just
on this
has a
one.
disappointment for Terry for some reason. I'm not sure why he does not like the wide receiver
I have a good
position.
I have a good
but,
point here.
I mean, it's a 75-yard touchdown pass, of course, but it really was about a 8-yard pass.
Yeah.
And about, 62, 63, 64-yard run.
And it was the block also too.
Yeah, but
And don't
that's
forget that he threw him
that's
off,
what
too.
good plays are about, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. The receivers.
Well,
tend
Mike, we might as well go to
make
the
that happen.
source.
I'm
Mike.
gonna stick up for you, Tony. Here's why I'm gonna stick up for you. For the first time this year on third down, they were 40% completion percentage. That's the highest all season. Now, when we get into your defense, the Eagles had 70% percentage completion on third downs. We can talk about your defense later. But they did do better. They got really whooped, though, on time of possession, Tony, so we can talk about that. But there's one really cool thing that went on in the game, and that is Donna talked about it. When AP set that record, apparently Terry McLaurin threw a crushing block to get him that touchdown. He said he's going to give him that game ball.
Who threw the block again?
Terry
McLaurin.
the receiver.
What position?
But think of the parallel here. Remember when Babe Ruth hit his 500th home run? The story came out this week that he gave that bat to one of his friends named Rice. And here it is 75 years later, that bat auctioned off for $1 million. Now that's a very famous football, and Terry's family will be able to auction that off probably in 75 years.
I don't think they'll wait that long. But you know what, Mike? Just think how good it is that Peterson is doing this, and they did not even allow him to play the first game or two.
That's true.
And now he's come along. He's an older running back, looking for his second 1,000 yards. But I like the way the offensive line is picking up right now. I like the way Terry is playing within. You got your crash, dash, and slash, but it's only been a crash, and that's been Peterson. So I tell you, I look at what's happening right now, and what I want to do is always look at the positive, because they're trying to rebuild this team to where they need to be. So I think you can't just smooth over and act like we don't see improvement. We do see improvement, and that's what I'm looking for. Yes, Philadelphia, not that far removed from being Super Bowl champs. Yeah, they may have had a better average. They may have done well or even better on third and long, but at the same time, I go back 8 weeks and look where this team was then compared to where they are now.
You're right, Tony, that you've got to take the good. And you look at the offensive line, you talked about seeing improvement there. Wes Martin was put in that game against the Eagles and did a good job, another young rookie. But you want to see improvement each week in various areas of this team. But I'm telling you, if you can get that running game going again, AP had 66 yards on 16 carries on Sunday against the Eagles, and they've got to face a giant team this coming week that is kind of like in the bottom with the Redskins as far as what's going on with them. But I think the Redskins overall it's improving. But the person that I like most to see is what Haskins did on Sunday as far as the way he orchestrated that offense and just the improvement there. That's what I like to see each week. And in 5 games, he's really improved a lot.
Can I get?
Yes, he has.
Yeah. Can I get actually Gary's comment on this, because the actual #1 quote, Tony, over the weekend in the press conference was, and I know you don't like me using these quotes, but quarterback Dwayne Haskins actually said, "I thought we did some good things as far as converting early on, moving down the field, and being able to make some plays early." And he talked about throwing on first down, which has not been their characteristic first down play throughout the season. And then there was an allusion later on to the West Coast offense, that it was more of a West Coast offense that they were playing. Did you see that, Gary?
Well, I mean, it's definitely a West Coast offense. I mean, that's why it's true that his reads have to become quicker, because it's a quick read. Typically, everything is, if he was under center, it'd be more like a 3-step drop, 3-step to a 5-step drop, because everything is in the West Coast offense. And, you know, Joe Gibbs was the East Coast offense. Everything was more vertical. So if it's 3rd and 15, you had a 15-yard route, a 20-yard route in your arsenal to get it. You can see now a lot of times our routes, if it's more than 10 yards, we have to catch and run the extra yards to pick up the first down, which quite honestly shouldn't be the case. But these guys, the receivers, are doing a great job of doing it. The quarterback had his best game of the year, and hopefully he continues to improve from what he's learning right now. Because then next year he can become a phenom, and they'll forget all about his rookie year, and they'll move on beyond this. Because the key is right now learning with each game, getting more knowledge, being comfortable when he drops back. Being like, he didn't have any sacks. He got rid of the ball when he needed to get rid of the ball. He's doing things as he's growing. He's becoming a better quarterback each and every week.
Hey, Tony, what did you see? Hey, Tony, question about the offense. What did you see with the offense differently against the Eagles yesterday? They look like they mixed up a lot of things more so in the passing game, but what was it that you think happened that the offense was so much better against the Eagles?
I think that now they're playing the better as a team. We got to take a break right now. When I come back, I'll tell you why I think that. I think that each position that has had new players in it, now these players are adapted to playing together. But we'll get back to that. Let's take a break right now, pay a few bills, and come back. And you can pull them from under the bus, Donna, and we'll be back in a moment. At the end, I could barely hear them. They were tailing off. I could barely hear what they were saying. Okay, you said 14 minutes for this one?
She wanted to move someplace warm.
But he wanted snow for the holidays. So we built a snow globe.
Get that later.
But the one thing we could both agree on was getting Geico to help with our homeowner's insurance.
What?
Switching and saving was really easy.
I love you!
Sweetie, hands off the glass.
Ugh.
Call Geico and see how easy saving on homeowners and condo insurance can be.
I love her!
Well, he had 2 sacks and everything, but one of my defensive linemen had 7 tackles, solo tackles. But let's go back and digress and talk about Donna's comment. Donna, as I look at the offense, that's all the way up and down the board, including the coaches, everyone is adapting to now being a part of the game. These guys had to learn how to play. The coaches are making it now. As we said 3 or 4 weeks ago, they're doing more running and doing a little less passing, so it's more balanced. These offensive linemen, they love to run the ball. And that's what they're doing really well right now. And they're also, no sacks, you have to give that up. They're letting Peterson be the main man. I know they did not want to, but they should see that works. And these young wide receivers, Gary, I don't know what they're doing, but you're exactly right. These guys are making plays, so that offense is better overall. Looking at the defense, I know Philadelphia may have done some good things on Sunday, but as I said, Philadelphia is not far removed from being a Super Bowl team. And this defense is still playing the same with every game. You look at, when you get one defensive lineman getting 7 solo tackles, you got a defensive back, you got a linebacker getting 2 sacks. We've been talking about the linebackers, how important it was for them to get involved in the game and take care of that middle zone. Mike, do you think that's happening right now?
Well, you know, Tony, it was interesting. I heard a couple people in the know say that this was one of the poorer games that the Wall actually played. Of course, Jonathan Allen had a banner game, but the other 2 guys had 1 solo tackle between them. So the Wall didn't play quite well. Settle played a little bit more, but the kid that had the great game was Ryan Anderson. I had to go back a long way to see any player that had 2 sacks, 2 or 3 forced fumbles. He had a couple quarterback hits. And he had, 4 or 5 solo tackles. I don't even remember the last time a linebacker had those kind of stats. So Ryan Anderson may be coming into his own, Tony.
Well, Tony, you know what? When you look at the defense, and you know what? You talk about me always throwing people under the bus. Well, what needed to be thrown on the bus is the fact that they couldn't stop the run against the Eagles. Eagles end up with 157 yards rushing overall, and they just ran through the Redskins defense. Sanders had 122 yards for the Eagles, but overall, like I said, 157. When the defense needed to make stops down the stretch, Tony, and in some games you can look before, they were not able to do that. I mean, they were up at the end of the game, and the defense, all they had to do was hold the Eagles, and the Eagles just went downfield as they wanted to and ended up scoring. The Redskins were depleted somewhat as far as the cornerback position, and Josh Norman came in. But even beyond that, the Redskins just did not do a good job on Sunday in stopping the run.
You know what, though, Donna? Did the other people, did Philadelphia play for free, or did they get paid too?
I just know that they didn't stop the run.
I don't understand. Did they go to, did Philadelphia go to the Super Bowl last year before last, or sometime? I mean, they are professionals. So we can't always talk about, the defense did hold them. Maybe the offense could have scored more points, but I'm looking at the improvement.
Wait a minute,
we
Tony.
can't just sit here and
Tony, our offense finally started scoring some points. They finally did score some points. They finally actually showed up, because they hadn't showed up.
Exactly.
The defense has been carrying them for the past 3 to 4 games, 100%. So when your offense finally does show up, you do have to expect your defense to come out and play as well. Like, you expect them to make those stops. For us to be able to come back and, match them point for point and then go ahead, it would have been great to maintain that lead, or at least go into overtime. But if they kick a field goal, worst case scenario. But, for some reason, we just can't find a way to make the plays on offense and defense when we actually need it.
Yeah, Tony.
But isn't that growth? Isn't that what we're talking about? The team becoming part, and that's including we getting plays out of special teams.
We're not par.
We're getting plays out
We're
of
not
defense.
par right now, Tony.
Yeah, can we take a look at your wall,
Tony?
Tony?
No way to put that sugar on that.
Can we take a look at that? You tell me what went wrong. When we take a look at this wall, the two biggest contributors have been Ioannidis and Payne. Now, wait a minute. This is your wall. Look at Allen. Allen was killing it. What would go on during a game defensively so that Payne and Ioannidis, who've been your two biggest contributors, were not all that significant on Sunday, but Allen was having a great game? What goes on there on that defensive line?
Okay, let me tell you an analogy that happened, and Gia tell you this too. When you have three pretty good players, one has been out. These other two have been performing each and every week that he's out. So they're getting a little, I would say that they're probably getting a little bit more double team now than they got before, but sometimes each player look at whom he's playing or who he will have to contest for playing time that week. He will go out there, and if you got a pigeon, which, you know, I did get some pigeons, I would tell Big Dave Butts or I'd tell Perry Brooks or somebody, look, let me handle this dude. You go and take the double team. We'll make this happen. That could be happening. This team is growing. Maybe they did not get all the tackles and everything, but they recognize that Ioannidis has been getting quite a few tackles. They recognize that defensive wall is pretty good. Yes, one player got it, but they still a group. I always look at improvement. I just don't want to keep looking at the negativity because I'm so happy that this is not the same team that it was 10 weeks ago. So I look at what happened. Yes, they didn't play as well, but at the same time, would you have expected for them to continue with all these tough teams? They did it. They did it with San Francisco. Yeah. They're doing it with this team. They're doing it with potential Super Bowl teams, and they're playing with these teams.
Yeah. Can I ask one more question?
I see the mistletoe, Tony. I see the mistletoe. I see the Christmas trees. I see everything. You're really in the holiday spirit right now. This is awesome.
Let me ask you guys, and maybe Donna, you can figure this out. Montez Sweat. I mean, come on. For years, you told me the NFC East was a 4-3 defensive alignment, and then we went to the 3-4, and this team has never been in the top 10 in defense since that time, since Greg Williams was here. We're still playing the 3-4, and you had Montez Sweat, who could be a premier pass rusher, going out in coverage almost 2/3 of the game. Now, what sense does that make?
Well, you know what? They're playing to what they think the personnel could do. And I agree with you. You have to have special personnel to play a 3-4 line because each lineman will usually be doubled each and every play, either pass or run. Therefore, you have to have three very good defensive linemen, and they have that. Yes, Sweat did have to go in and drop off in the coverage, but that's part of the deal. He does not get paid just to play the run. He has to do other things too. I look at coordination as the whole defense. And yes, Josh came in, and maybe he's not the Josh he used to be. But all of his mistakes, or all the linebackers' mistakes, or all the linemen's mistakes, this is a unit mistake. So that's why you will see different people doing different things. No, they haven't been as great because they don't have the great personnel they need for a three-man line. They got the three linemen, but to have a three-man line, you got to have four very good linebackers. And I don't know if they have that right now.
Good point. Good point, Tone.
Yeah, Tony, let me just harp back on the defense just a little bit because
here we go.
Because I know, Gary, like you said, with the Christmas with the Christmas decorations up and all of that, the Eagles came in depleted somewhat in the secondary. I mean, the wide receivers, they had nobody that was starters out there. And like you said, they're NFL players. They should be able to walk in. But I want to ask you, why did the Eagles have so much success in running the ball on the Redskins? Because it was like the first quarter, the second, third, they were just running circles around the Redskins for big runs. What was happening up front or with the defense that they were so successful in running the ball?
Circumstances and situations, and that's what really would dictate a lot of the game and whatever is happening and transpiring at that time. That's what the defensive line, the defensive front have to really adapt to. And those situations are always different, but I don't know. Since I'm getting older and I'm forgetting things, it seems as though they did the same thing to Dallas a little while ago. Am I incorrect with that? Is they just did this to Washington? They haven't done it to other teams? Philadelphia is a pretty good team.
Tony, they are not that good.
They are a pretty good team. I know that record may indicate, but you know what? Don't worry about the record. when the playoffs start, I guarantee you Philadelphia is going to be one of the top teams in there.
Well, they got to beat Dallas.
Hey, G, that's why I'm forfeiting the picks.
Well, now wait a minute. Now Gary picked Philadelphia to win this game this week.
did.
We're going to do your picks hot on the air later on, but Gary picked Philadelphia to
I
win.
did.
So they may be better than we
Listen to
think.
the guru.
He's the one leading in the picks. He knows what he's doing.
By a few, Mike. Come on, let's not go overboard.
Don't you guys know what I'm doing? Milton hadn't showed up. I ain't seen Milton in a couple of weeks, and he was our homer.
Yeah, you're Milton right now.
Yeah, so I'm taking Milton's place. But all joking aside, I look at one thing, it does us no good to just continue to beat these guys down and they'll never get any better, they're never doing any better. I think we have to applaud them when they do play better, the same way we talk about them when they play badly. And I look at the last 4 or 5 weeks, and it really haven't been a real bad game in that. So, they haven't won a lot. They won a couple of them. But at the same time, this team is improving. That's what you want to see. That's all that coach can ask for. I look at a team in Atlanta. They've won a couple of really tough games, and now they're thinking about maybe keeping the coach. That's all you need to do is show improvement. When you don't show improvement, then that's what happened to your coach that happened to Washington's coach at the beginning of the year.
Hey, Tony, you should see Gary's face because he is just not believing what you're saying.
I agree 100% on the improvement. The team has improved, but they're supposed to improve. You're a professional football team. They're supposed to improve.
Yeah, you too.
And you know what? But you can't applaud a loss. I can applaud the improvement and them improving, but getting better each week, striving to get better. I think, playing the younger players now, I think if they did that a little earlier, quite honestly, the record may be a little better than what it is now. But you can't applaud a loss. That's literally like going across the field when you lose a game and with a smile on your face and hugging the winning team. That just can't be done. It shouldn't
I
be
agree
done.
with you 100%.
But it happens all the week, right? It happens every week right now with the Redskins. They love their opponent. They have smiles on their faces.
But how many years have we gone where we did not see any improvement? That's what I'm trying to get out of you guys. We've gone a long time. We've said, they need to run the ball more. They need to do this. They need to do that. Well, they're starting to do this. They're taking people out that's getting paid and not playing. They're putting people in there that wants to play. They're going against teams that's playing for a playoff position and staying in the game. We got to be a little bit happy with that.
Jam you in there. I agree with
We're
that.
not supposed to take a break now, but you guys are breaking my heart. And you know what? It's just like the songwriter said. You guys remember Harold Melvin in the Blue Notes featuring Teddy Pendergrass? The song said, "If you don't know me by now, you'll never know me." We'll be back in a moment. Wait. Huh? Yeah, now I know I only did 12 then, but you know what? When we go around the league, anytime we got change, that give us more to talk about other teams. Okay. So you want 14 on this one. Talk to Mike. Tell him that we're gonna do special teams, and then we'll probably do the NFC East or something like that.
I saved hundreds on my car insurance when I switched to Geico, and this is how it made me feel. It was like that feeling when you go to taco night at your favorite restaurant, and they're the best tasting tacos in the entire world. And just when you think it couldn't get any better, they bring you out another taco because they made an extra one.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Special teams are becoming special. We've been clamoring for weeks and weeks. Special teams need to do this. Special teams need to make great plays. Special teams need to change field position. Well, they're doing that right now. And that's why I don't want to keep this belaboring the point that I just like the improvement I see. But I do see improvement in each and every position. And it may not equate to wins right now, but just the special teams being a better special team. That helps this team tremendously.
Across the board. I mean, if you look at it, Tony, Tressway, 4 for 196 yards. He had a 59-yarder. I mean, Sims, he's finally returning punts. Of course, he only had 2 punt returns for 8 yards, but his kick returns, Tony, I mean, he basically 3 kick returns for 89 yards and 1 41-yarder. I mean, and then Hopkins, your cousin, 2 for 2 on field goals, including a 53-yarder. And they had it had 4 yards to spare, Tone.
Right, and if you really just talk about it, all we've been saying negative about these teams are they haven't been making the big enough plays, but if you look at them consistently, they may be the best unit on the team this year.
Good point.
Yeah, Tony, I also want to say congratulations to Sumber because he's the snapper. Yeah. He got voted in, I guess, nominated for the Man of the Year, and that's going to be coming up. So he's one of the nominations for his work in the community. So congratulations to him, and it's a possibility that he may win the Walter Payton Award later on.
You should come.
And to win an award like that is astounding because Walter Payton was not only a great football player, he was a great ambassador for the game and a great person within the community. And whenever you get an opportunity as a team, on a team such as this, the Washington Redskins, that's not winning a lot, and you're one of the people that can represent that, that's equally as important as being a good player. And it's something that everybody admires within the player, and I congratulate him as well and wish him good luck. When we talk about units on this team, and we've talked about 3, and you start looking around the East, the NFC East is not very good this year. And I tell you, but I still look at them to be tough when they get in the playoffs because we hate to say it, but it's going to be either Dallas or Philadelphia. Both of them have potential to be good. But one thing that has to happen with those teams, even when they play bad, notice that all 3 facets do something that could contribute to the winning of the game.
Oh, there's no question about that. And you know what? If you look at how poorly special teams had played in past years, this has been one of the banner years for special teams. They've only had a couple down games, but overall, Gary's smiling at me right now.
Tony,
but overall, it's been a lot better than it has in past years.
Tony,
tell me right now what's on your mind. Say what's on your mind right now, G.
No, I mean, banner year.
Yeah, they've been up and down, years? Tony. The Eagles and the Cowboys have been up and down. One week they'll win, and then the next week
our special teams.
It's almost like nobody wants to.
I wasn't talking about the other teams.
Well, I just don't know if anything. There's a lot of things that's banner for this year. I think right now you continue to play hard. You get through this season. You try to finish off with 3 wins. You try to make sure that you go out on a winning note so you can have something to build on going into the next year. But accolades right now, as a team, you can't give them right now. Like, you give accolades after a win. Like, there's nothing worse than, telling somebody that they're really good when they're really not. At the end of the day.
I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to tell them they're really good because they're not really good. And they're not really bad. But at the same time, I will tell them when they've improved. It's just like you do with your kids. They don't always act right, but when they do act right, you're trying to tell them that, but you make sure you tell them when they're wrong. And I look at this team right now, they're doing a little bit better. But at the same time, and the reason I brought up the NFC East is maybe not this year, but it's going to be good for the taking next year because I tell you what, the NFC East is falling down fast.
Tony,
and I tell you what,
except for
if
Dallas.
they took the 8 best teams, the NFC East would even have a representative in the playoffs.
It still depends on the last 3 games, though. Like, if the teams in the East reel off their last 3 games, then they're going into the playoffs like this. The key is how you going into the playoffs, So, you see funnier things can happen. It depends on momentum. Everything's about momentum in football, Tony. We all know this.
Hey, Tony, really what's happening today is this shirt that Gary has on, he's just being mean. He's being the Grinch today. That's what it is.
Mean machine.
What? I mean,
just not the second part, just the mean part.
I'm just
Mr. Green machine.
We just expect a lot. I mean,
the Grinch. This is the Grinch, isn't it?
You know, we got all these other sports teams that are playing well in Washington. They're playing
that's
well.
true.
And Tony, you come from an era, I come from an era, we come from an era where at the end of the day, burgundy gold ruled. They always ruled. Didn't matter what anybody else was doing. So I guess I am a little mean today. I guess I'm being a little salty for whatever reason.
Because you wouldn't think of the Washington Redskins being out of the playoffs this long. Each year we talk about playoff teams, and you think about the Redskins in the last, for so long I can't even remember that we're not talking about them making a run for the playoffs.
And we're putting the blame, everywhere else except on the players at the end of the day. I think at the end of the day, no matter what it is, it comes down to the players making a change in the game, on the field, in the locker room to get things done the way they should be done. It's like it comes back down to the players.
Gary, Donna, Mike.
Okay.
I just woke myself up.
I have a question.
You right, Gary.
No,
we can't be talking about how good they are and they were not winning games.
No,
but at the same time, we're looking at it the future-wise. And you know the way I look at it so positive is,
Tony, when I punish my son, there is not a smile on his face after he's been punished. That I promise you.
Wait,
there's no smiling on his face.
No abuse. I didn't abuse myself on television. But
you slap yourself though.
I'm going to tell Novena on you.
With that being
You're not
said,
smacking yourself around.
Right. Well, you know what?
Sometimes you need a wake-up call.
That now because I can't smack nobody else around.
They're all grown up. Can I ask you a quick question, though? Dallas is legitimate. Come on, they've got a great running game. They got a big offensive line.
What's legitimate
They have one
about
of the
them,
best
Mike?
receivers, Amari Cooper, in the NFL. Come on, they've got a good defense. They got a good pass rusher.
Mike, I know you're
a
Cowboy fan. You're a Cowboy fan, big
What
man.
happened against
And because
the Rams?
we're losing right now, you're letting it come out. You letting it come out. That's because you're a Cowboy fan.
Tony, the truth came out.
Eat him
You're
up.
a Cowboy fan.
No, seriously.
The
What
truth
happened?
came
And now
out.
you're trying to make this a Cowboy show.
What happened?
This is a Redskins show, not a Cowboy show.
Sean McVay, he got run
Mike.
over with a truck.
You can't
What
get your way out of
happened?
this, Mike.
No, I'm just
No,
saying
you
Dallas,
can't, Mike.
You know, you got some
Mike,
home
you can't
cooking in
get out of this.
Dallas.
I can't believe
Some home cooking in Dallas. That's what happened. Home cooking in Dallas.
Undercover, Tony.
I didn't even see the game, and I know there was some home cooking.
You know, Jerry asked me to be in his box next week, and I told him, sure,
Now we
no
know.
problem.
Now we know.
But you know what, Mike? I can't believe that you had the audacity to sit up on this show and talk about a team that's 6-7 and was going to fire the coach
No,
if they'd
they're
have lost
7-7.
any of the last
They're
two games.
7-7
And if they
now.
don't get to the playoffs, they're going to fire him. And you
Well,
talking
of course
about
they
they're
are.
a good team?
No, they're going to fire him. There's no question about
Hey,
that.
Tony, he needs to
In
look
fact-
into the dictionary
No,
to find
but-
out what a good team meaning
I'm
is.
not the only one that thinks that if Dallas gets on a roll, that they could make some.
If they
could
win
make
their
some
last
noise.
3 games, they're on the
Yeah.
roll. I think anybody who rolls into the playoffs, I mean, out of our division to make an impact, I think whoever wins our division must win their last 3 games.
Yes.
I think they have to roll and make an impact.
How
in
did they beat the
playoffs.
Rams like that? I don't even
The
understand.
Rams are not that good.
The Rams have
The
got
Rams
a
have been
problem.
getting beat like that all year.
Yeah, they're not that good.
Yeah, the Rams got a problem. I don't know what that problem is with them, but they have a big problem. But you know what? We're seeing, as we said last week, a changing of the guard. You're seeing these quarterbacks change, mobile quarterbacks. You're seeing they're going back to the running game a little bit more. Start looking at each game now. They put an emphasis on how much they're running the ball. It was a passing league, and it still is. But now you're starting to go back to old school. That's what you happen when it gets cold. That's what happened when you're trying to win games. That's what happened when you're trying to get in the playoff. So now, Mike, but I'm not going to sit here and say that you going to say that Dallas is a good team. Man, what? I mean, come on. Talk about drinking your own Kool-Aid. You drinking their Kool-Aid.
Well, you know it. I'm saying this, that if they do win the division, San Francisco is going to have to go to Dallas probably.
And?
So what are you
Something's gonna
saying? What are you going
happen.
to say is going to happen?
They're going to be a wild card team. I think Dallas will beat San Francisco. I think San
Ain't
Francisco.
gonna
I
happen.
think that happens only if Dallas wins out their 3 games, and they're
Okay.
like this, and San Francisco's doing this.
I think Dallas is going to
It's all
surprise
about
some
it's
people.
all about momentum at the end of the day.
Okay, so in 3 weeks, I'll play this back for you.
It's all about momentum.
Okay.
So
No,
you're
I
saying
agree.
Dallas is going to the Super Bowl? Is basically what you're telling me right now. That's what you're saying.
No. And I don't think the coach's job is safe either. I think that the rumor I read today is that both the Skins and the Cowboys are going after Urban Meyer, and it's going to be the highest bidder.
Really?
That's what.
Well,
I read
you know,
today.
I heard that the Redskins are going after Tony McGee to become the head coach of the Washington
Boy, he would
Redskins.
kick it up, wouldn't he?
Wait a minute.
And Gary as
They
an
want,
assistant.
they want help, not hindrance.
Oh, no. They want wins.
But
they
I
want
tell you what,
wins.
I
Bringing
would.
in the
You
old
know
guard,
what?
put
I
wins.
told you guys this, and I'm going to say it again. We got a new collective bargaining coming up. I know this is off the loop at CBS, Clear Blue Sky, but I'm just talking about, I wish I could see in that agreement that every team, it will have at least 3 to 4 former players on their team in some capacity.
Wow.
I think that's the way you keep the old school and the new school together. That's the way you keep play together. That's where you keep players that can look at other players that just played or they played prior. And that's why, and instead of just having your cousins and your friends, have some former players on there, because players make the difference. That's why on this team, you notice, I don't have many former coaches, but I do have former players on there. And I got one homer in Milt.
No, I kind of agree with that comment, though, Tony. I think
agree.
if you create like a mentorship program where they can
Yeah.
have former players from the organization that come in that can help mentor those players that are going, because at some point in time, every player goes through a hard time in their career where they're not playing the way that they should be playing or they want to be playing. And how did you get out of that rut? How did you get back on top? All these different things that former players can bring to the table. So I actually think that's a great idea, Tony.
And you know, I'd like to see them really do that. The other thing is a lot of things that we will talk about it before the collective bargaining come, but that's one thing I'd like to see. Now, speaking of the NFC East, because the next segment we'll go on and start talking about other teams and doing different things. If they win it out, and I'm going to just ask you straight up, I think, in my opinion, and I'm asking Donna, and I'm asking G, because Mike, you already made your statement. Do you think Philadelphia is better than Dallas?
No.
No, I think Tony, right now the Eagles are depleted as far as the wide receiver core, right? And I don't think their defense is as good as Dallas. Quarterback-wise, Dallas may have the edge, definitely in their running game. So I don't know if Philadelphia Dallas may have the slight edge over the Eagles right now just because of some injuries that they're suffering with. And to me, the Eagles are so much more up and down than Dallas is.
I think their defense is better, though. Dallas's defense haven't shown up since the 3rd or 4th week of the season. I think that if you take a look, Philadelphia defense have come through and when they needed, made some big plays. Their quarterback has held them back, but now that he's starting to use his legs somewhat, and they do have a pretty good running game when they use it, yes, they're depleted at wide receiver. But this is a team that will hit you in your mouth. So they're not against running the ball, and they will adapt to that. To me, they're better than Dallas right now.
Not depleted as tight end.
Okay,
That's
so
always kind of
Tony
been
is
their
picking
guy.
Philly this week. Okay, I got it. Tony.
Oh, don't
Philly.
be trying to write nothing down. I'm too far behind. I'm taking something this week. We're going to take a little break right now. We got about a minute. But I'm taking some people this week. I'm coming for you, G. You got to watch out. I'm coming for you, Donna. And Mike, after your statement today, I got you. I got you. We'll be back in a moment. I'm getting all of you when we come back. When we come back, fans, we're going to do a little bit during the course of the show on the Black 14 again. You guys need to get your pencils out. You need to get these shirts. I'm going to show you. Everybody want me to show a shirt, so I'll be showing that. But we'll be back in a moment to pay some bills and make sure that Dallas ain't the best team, Michael. We'll be back.
He went in there with me, though. I was trying to keep, he started doing all that snorting and stuff. I didn't think he wanted me to do it.
I got to know this, though, to see how to. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he wants. What'd you say? We got 12 minutes. How much we got? So you gonna roll the Black 14 coming right in? Are we gonna introduce it or go right to it?
Oh, great presentation, Tim. Could you email me the part about Geico, making it easy to switch and save hundreds?
Oh, yeah, sure.
You don't know my name, do you?
Of course I know your name. I just get you mixed up with the other guy. What's his name? What's your name?
Switch to Geico. You could save 15% or more on car insurance.
Could you just tell me? I want this to be over.
You know, during the course of the year, we've been telling you, excuse me, this is the 50th year of the Wyoming Black 14, and we've done a lot and we've been doing a lot because a lot of outlets, matter of fact, in Washington, DC, they had it on the front page the other day. CNN has had it on. You look up that Wyoming Black 14 and you'll see something. But while I was out there, and Mike Baker was with me, we were filming a young man, and if it were not for him and another young man called Senator Al Simpson is what I call him, I wouldn't be sitting here now telling you how good it has been to be part of Wyoming this year. But take a look at this. I'm talking a little bit to Phil White right now. This is the historian for the Black 14. Not that we paid him, but he loved us that much that he's kept us up front. Take a look at this.
And of course, Tony McGee played in the NFL for 13 years and had one of the greatest endurance records of any player in the NFL. So I always say, if you want to judge the greatest player in Wyoming football history, if you want to judge that by their tenure in the pros, how long their talents were valuable in the pros, Tony McGee would have to be the greatest player that ever played at Wyoming, by far. Nobody came close to being in the NFL for 13 years, ever.
And the Phil White's another one. He kept this thing alive and documented everything for 50 years. I think he even left the Brandy and I in the newspaper after they put us off the team. And as individuals like that, when you asked about the state, I know they're not the only two in this state that's like that. But I also know it's more than two that's not like that. So I don't think it'd be a fair assessment for me to say, oh, this state has never done right, because that's what Lloyd Eaton did. He said, this is a bunch of black guys that's breaking the rules. We weren't his players then, we weren't anything. We were a bunch of black guys that broke his rules. But the rule hadn't even been set at that time. And then one thing I want to tell you with this whole interview, we were punished for something we never did. We never protested. He put us off the team. And the rule was supposed to be if we protested in the game. So we were punished for something we never did anyway. But you know what? Things come out and they work out. This did not have to happen, but it did. I'm happy it did. And I'm happy to be back affiliated with this school.
You know, Mike, as you look at this is the famous place where a picture was taken. Can you hold that picture so Mike can maybe zoom in on it? A lot of us weren't here when they took this picture, but what you have to understand, this is history that we're standing on now. And we're making history right now by coming back. Mike, when you look at this, you're looking at history. Guys, these are the famous steps, and many of these are the famous guys. And we thank you for watching us, because we'll be back. Black14.net. Take a look at it. Get you one of these. These shirts, I've been getting calls all over the country about these shirts. As I told you, that's the only place you'll see all of the 14 Black, and our numbers are on the back. We've been getting this all over the country. You guys can get them, and I tell you what I want to do for the first 100 that want to get them from this advertisement right here. I'm giving you at least $10 off. I'm personally paying for them. So get back in touch with us. Let us know you're one of the first 100. Enjoy it. And I tell you what, Mike, you take it over now, because I didn't know it was that much in there. And every time I see some of this, I see something new. Wyoming Black 14.
Thanks, Tony. You know, we always have a chance to catch up with Adam, and he's pretty smart. I mean, I could ask him anything, and he can come up with an answer. So about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were hanging out with Adam, and I said, you know, Adam, let's look at the quarterbacks that were drafted, not this current year, but the past year, and let's see how they're doing. You realize they're all not playing well. The only one that's playing well and is doing an amazing job, thanks to Ozzie Newsome, is Lamar Jackson. I mean, you could make a case for Josh Allen, but he has more rushing touchdowns than he has passing touchdowns. So I actually asked Adam, I said, Adam, what is it? What is it? Did they start Dwayne Haskins too early? Should they have started him earlier? I mean, the learning steps and the learning curve for the guys that were drafted last year have been traumatic and dramatic. Are we damaging this quarterback? Did we start him too early? Should we have brought him along sooner? This is what he had to say.
Ideally, I would say no, they're not. But given the circumstances with Case Keenum having concussion problems, their hand seems to be forced. So actually, they don't really have a choice but to play Haskins the rest of the season.
And Tony, I think Adam made a very good point, and that is once you get Haskins in there and Keenum's missing 2 or 3 games, there's no way you can take the kid out. Would he have ever gone in, perhaps, if Keenum hadn't had the concussions? I don't know. But one thing that we did want to catch you up with, Tony, was all the news that's been going on with the Washington Nationals, because we do have a World Series team in our town. There's some good news and some crushing news, but just real quickly, let's take a look at this guy. Now, believe it or not, they brought back the entire coaching staff except for Joe Dillon. Joe is going to go over to the Phillies to help, obviously, Bryce Harper. In addition to that, Gerardo Parra is gone, and he has gone to Japan. And so at the end of this, we're going to give him a little tribute. In addition to that, of course, we lost Anthony Rendon, $245 million to the Angels, but they have been trying to get him. Basically, they had him in mind for years, and they went and they got him. We signed Strasburg. We got my favorite player, Howie Kendrick. But here's a little tribute to the Shark. Let's all be sad. Dun 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 dun.
You know it, right?
Dun 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 dun. Sad, but true. He's gone.
That's pretty good, Mike. I like that. But I'm still trying to recover from your Dallas remark.
Oh, no.
You know, you messed me up with that. But the Nationals, they're doing it. And, you know, we've watched this team building from the beginning, and we saw them get rid of people that we thought they should not get rid of, but obviously they did the right thing. And the one thing that you see, they're not standing still. And that's the one thing that I can remember, and, G, you can chime in on this. When we won Super Bowls with the Redskins, we didn't stay pat the next year. We got better. And that's what you see with this team, and we eventually may see it with the basketball team, but that's what we want to see with the Redskins. Now, as far as the playing Haskins and not playing them, whatever they did was correct because he's coming on. Anytime a young quarterback can get a 121.3 rating, he's doing what he needs to be done, and the coach got him in there at the right time. Is there a right time? No time is a right or a wrong time. It's when you put in there, you perform.
Yeah, not only that, Tony, he might have had 3 touchdowns. Sims dropped one in the end zone, and then that one that was clearly pass interference. The very famous Donna turned to me and said, I don't think they're going to get this call because no referee is going to reverse a call with 5 minutes left in the game that can really basically reverse the outcome of the game. And even though Sims was interfered with, he did drop that ball. And that would have put them in more than field goal range. That would have obviously given them the first down. They could have gone in and scored, plus the other touchdown. So you look at Dwayne Haskins, he had an amazing game.
Yes. Well, now, talking about amazing games, I think we got to this last segment, and we might as well get to it. I understand that I got pencil whooped in the picks this week.
Well,
a couple of sports bars that called me and said you pencil whooping them. Give me an update, Mike. I got to see what's happening. I'm going to have to get in town because when I stay away, same thing happened last year. The same thing happened the year before. How do I always end up in 4th place?
You know what, Tony, for a guy that won like 16 years in a row.
Tony.
You know, and then, of course, you added Donna to the show, and after that, it was all history. Then you added Gary. You added bright people, Tony. It wasn't just me. I could never beat you, but they can beat you. So let's take a look.
I feel like I'm being cheated.
Let's take a look at the Sports Bar Challenge, and we'll take a look at your picks. We're going to let you pick hot for the fans this week. So Crystal City Restaurant, they're 4-4. Hey, some of these teams are picking a little better. They're picking the Bears this week in the Kansas City Bears game. And you've got Crystal City Sports Pub. They are 3-5, and they are picking the Bears. You've got Greavy's Restaurant, 3-5. They're picking the Chiefs. Outback Steakhouse of Vienna, 3-5. They're picking the Bears. Harry's Ale House of Fredericksburg, 3-5. They're picking the Chiefs. Hard Times Cafe, 3-5, and they are picking the Chiefs. And we're going to go into the playoffs a little bit and give some of these sports bars that are behind a bit of a chance. So let's take a look at the picks and give you a chance, Tony, Tony, to pick live on the air so you can see you're not being pencil whipped. Okay, so
let's do it.
Dallas at Philadelphia. Donna's picking Dallas. Gary's picking Philly. I'm picking Dallas. I guess we know why. Who are you picking, Tone?
I'm picking Philly.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I had my first Philly cheesesteak this week. You could be right. We have New Orleans at Tennessee. Let's see. Donna's got New Orleans, Gary New Orleans, and I have New Orleans. You could make a statement here with Tennessee, Tone.
I got to go with New Orleans on that. Tennessee was lucky to win last week, and I don't know if they got their game together. New Orleans haven't hit their stride. I go with them.
All righty. You got KC at Chicago. Chicago, I think they're 7-7. They're still in the hunt for a wild card berth, and everybody's got KC. Would you go with your old Bears or not?
Chicago, if they're in the playoff, I'll be playing for them, and you know that's a lie too.
Okay.
So I'm not going with. They're not in no playoff hunt. Pick KC.
All righty. You got Pittsburgh at New York Jets. We are all picking Pittsburgh, even though they had a lackluster performance, should I say, against Buffalo. But the Jets, you know, Sam Darnold has been playing well. What do you think?
I'm taking the Jets. This is where I'm going to pick up on you guys.
All right. I think you might have something there. And then Oakland at the LA Chargers. You got Oakland, the Chargers, and the Chargers. Who are you going to go with? The Chargers, you remember last year, they came on strong at the end of the season. And I think they've won 2 of their last 3, but they got trounced pretty badly last time.
I was going with the Chargers, but I see you and Gary took them. So Donna is the only one that didn't take them. So I'm going to have to go with Oakland. I did want the Chargers, but I have to go. I got to make some games, so I'm going with Oakland. I hate them. At the same time, we got to close out the show soon, and I just have one remark to say. All you players, all you fans, everybody, just take a look at what you can see improvement. Don't look at what has happened in the past because it's done. Look at what's happening in the future and what we can hope for in the years to come. Let them continue to improve, but if they do fall down, kind of pick them up because they're getting better right now. Next week when we come back, we're going to have a special show for you. We're going to do some more of the alumni because this is the holiday season. We want to enjoy everything, not talk football. After that, we're going to do the second Wyoming, but one thing we're going to do is try to entertain you guys each and every week. And we're so happy that you're here and hope to see you back in a couple of weeks. As I always say, no goodbye in the minute.